and beyond.
Hello everyone. I am just making some tea. I am actually getting ready to go live. Got my hat on. Because you know it's really fucking bad out, so I'm gonna be serious tonight. But I'm gonna not look too serious, just because I want to break it up a little bit. This is just my hat, but whatever. I just got off work, so I'm making some tea. I'll be right back. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jamie J. What you can see of it. Oh my. Anyways. Be right back. I love this song. By the way, if there's any audio issues tonight, let me know in chat. especially YouTube chat. But it sounds good from this end. Anyways, yeah. Oh, I got my mic on. Oopsies, guys. You're hearing me put my headphones in and I can't quite get them in my ears. Uh-oh. This is professional. Uh-oh. Hello, everyone in the chat. I've just been playing around on the floor because I'm professional. We'll get going here in just a few minutes. I think it's going to be a odd, weird ride tonight. I think. My friend Daniel is in chat. Of the Daniel and David crew, two of my favorite people in the whole world. And people that I've seen actually take conservatives apart piece by piece in a brilliant way, but David's in the chat as well. All right. Good evening, darling. Just got to get my tea. Wouldn't be a tea party without some tea. All right, let's do this.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show.
Oh, wait a second. Gonna record this.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show by an ultra-feminine, meek, shy, totally unopinionated trans woman that seeks to listen to both sides and does not make fun of TERFs. You've listened to the show, right? You still want me to say this? Well, okay. Here's your host, Marty Abernathy.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope I'm not peeking too bad. Let me bring up this. Oh, whoa. That's a bit bright. My lights went off a bit. Somewhere in my little hat here. I love it. It's got my little balls there. So, yeah. Yes, social justice demon, you are right on time. Tonight, I wanted to get into a kind of thorny topic. Am I too loud here. I'm just bringing this down a bit. Because it looks like I'm peeking in OBS. So I'm just going to bring that down. Bring myself up. Bring some music up too. If you want to call tonight, you can. The numbers are right up there. Nicholas, my son, if you didn't know, is in the chat as well. This is a bit of a party. There's some random geek, social justice demon, Jamie J. What? So yeah, I want to put some messages out. But tonight, I have a very special episode. By special, I mean, Jesus Christ. Will someone please help me? It's going to take me a couple minutes to get all my bookmarks up. But basically, I want to talk about really two things. And that's, again, the crazy day we've had with TERFs. Just when you think they can't go any lower, they do. And Breadtube, oh my God. It is just unfucking believable. I mean, I think a lot of people that are that have watched Breadtube will not be all that surprised, but hope everyone's having a good night, as much as you can have here on, it's the end of the world as we know it. But we can all chat here. Yeah, Nick, don't forget the NBs. David, I don't think you could get too informal. If you took your shoes off, well, that's okay. That's all right too. But like I said, if you want to give me a call, you can give me a call with the numbers up there. It's, if I can see good enough, it's 1-866-727-9070 in the USA and 808-189-0928 in the UK. My only problem is half of my bookmarks are on the Trans Advocate page and half of them are on the so I'm just gonna have to am I sending okay, by the way, y'all? Because I'm looking at the meters and it looks like I'm topping out a little bit. Also, we can do Zoom if anybody wants to. Just message me in chat and I will bring you on Zoom if you'd like. I just wish I knew what I was doing. That would be a change. All right. Just a few more minutes and we'll get this on the road. I know I just said that, but I didn't realize that oh dear. I'm getting a notification when I log into Trans Advocate. That's probably good because people try to hack into the Trans Advocate account because you know how TERFs are. Well, if you didn't know, there are some TERFs that actually go to Kiwi Farms. Those lovely people, you know, people that go to Kiwi Farms are always the nicest people. If you haven't been to Kiwi Farms, basically it's a place where people go to troll anonymously most of the time. But sometimes not so anonymously. Sometimes they don't hide. I'm going to bring the music back up for a little bit while I finish this out. Jamie J's doing the work for me. For those of you that have not,
make sure to subscribe on YouTube and don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when we go live.
That's right. That's right. It's the same one.
Your vision, when look in my just dropped, can't catch my breath. There's sand in the hourglass has stopped. You light up my world in ways I can't explain. Your electricity's running through my veins. Baby, I can't help it. I've never felt like this. Only you can do what you do. Only you give me that deja vu.
Oh, God.
Only you.
Oh, God. I just have to bring this whole dog shit pile. Oh, dear God. And you'll see what I mean when I bring this up.
Only you can do what you do.
All right, so let's do this. All right. So, first up, the Turfy McTurfisons from Turfsville, USA. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm just reading back on the chat. Thanks everybody for coming in. We have a couple new people. Maybe stop trying to deep throat the mic. Thanks, Nick. Thanks so much for that lovely input. All right, I think Lord have mercy. All right, I think this is better. I don't think I'm topping out, but so yeah, I'm just gonna bring this shit right up. We're just gonna get right into. Oh, please don't tell me this. Please, please, please. You don't. Yeah, that's not the one that I want. I should have known. Let's try this one more time. Oh, now I'm gonna have to go for my headphones. All right, I had to switch over to my headphones because for some reason my wireless headset decided to take a dump. Yeah, I'm not making love to this microphone tonight. Probably gonna get in a fight with my browsers, but I really want you guys to see this bullshit, but oh, there we go. All right. You guys can see behind the green curtain. I'm not gonna worry too much about this, but yeah. So, all right. Yeah, that we're gonna get into that shit in a minute. Oh, you guys can't see it yet. All right, so let's try this again.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show by an ultra-feminine, meek, shy, totally unopinionated trans woman that seeks to listen to both sides and does not make fun of TERFs. You've listened to the show, right? You still want me to say this? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Here's your host, Marty Abernathy.
All right, so finally got everything to work together and be friendly. So tonight I want to talk about TERFs. First off, a couple people. First off, I wanted to talk about Suzanne Moore. So Suzanne Moore wrote a pretty awful piece in the an anti-trans piece in the Guardian. And let me see if I can find it. So and a lot of people were upset about it. You can see by my spelling. Okay. So let's see. Her most I don't know if this has her newest one on here. But yeah, so basically it's a book of yeah, it is fucking transphobic as fuck. The truth that I take to be self-evident because of the experiences I've had is my story, and it won't necessarily be yours. And she goes on to talk about blood, periods, of course. And then she says femininity is a lot of work and fun, but it is dangerous work. She said, I got attacked, I got raped, and I was considered to be asking for it, wearing that female drag. That can happen to all women, however they identify, cis, trans, straight, and gay. I got to put on a pill that I didn't ask for. Hormones throughout my childbearing years, and then at the other end of the spectrum, there are the joys of HRT if you so desire. And, it's, if you want to go and read it, it's the typical bullshit. Anti-trans bullshit. But people were tired of it. Oh, really? No, that's me for some stupid reason. I don't know why. The internet and my browser hates me today. I don't know why. It is huge. It is bigly. I think that's all right. Let me see if I can make it smaller. But I don't really. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about this too much, but I don't like that it's doing that. But I got it to a place where it'll work. So basically, the writers at on the Guardian, they got together and basically about, I believe it was 200 people complained, and they had a bit of a row internally at the Guardian. So today, Suzanne Moore, this is from Mark DiStefano. The Guardian today has been consumed with more bitter infighting after columnist Suzanne Moore tweeted the full list of 300 odd staff who signed a letter asking Kath Viner to stop writing anti-trans stories. That's happening today at the Guardian. She literally posted everyone that signed this thing on her Twitter feed. With everything that's happening today, this is what she's going on about. This is what has consumed her. Literally. She's consumed with, and one person said, the Guardian has been consumed almost literally with identity politics. It's sad, but many of us have been mourning them for years. They just can't help themselves. And Simon says the rest of the British papers survive off doing identity politics, and they survive by going after trans people. So that was one of the TERFs. Again, I apologize for the I think that's better. It's unbelievable. There are people that are getting ready to lose their jobs. There are people that are ill. There are people that will be ill in the next few days. And what in the fuck are these people upset about? What are they going on about? They're going on about trans people. It's utterly ridiculous. They are obsessed. Honestly, I don't know how you can be so obsessed about something that doesn't impact you directly. And even if it's something that's important to you tangentially, people are fucking dying. People are going to get sick. People are going to lose their jobs. And what's important to you is shitting on trans women. It's absolutely horrible. But she's not the only one, unfortunately. I'll bring this up real quick. But Judith Long, let's see if I can. It's on Mimi Mommy's page. Or Mimi Mom. She talks about there being a scorched earth policy. This is literally, first off, Julia Long, someone that goes around and basically tries to interrupt or protest at different events where trans people are. She said, she posted this to Facebook. If anyone in my local group recognized me, would I be expelled? And then what she's talking about is her COVID-19 WhatsApp group that a lot are forming here in the UK about helping each other. And if I needed service, would I be refused or forced to accept a man and woman face bringing my shopping? First off, woman face is racist as fuck. Even if you're talking about drag, that's not woman face. Black face is what they're appropriating, and blackface was used to demean and it wasn't an identity. It was a way to mock. You know, you could say that drag has more of a, you can make an argument that drag is mocking. But to me, it's mocking femininity. It's not mocking women. But can you believe this bullshit? Literally, she would rather starve. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Even isolating yourself in the midst of a global pandemic, it seems there is no escaping this shit. Yeah, that a trans woman might help you. God forbid. And Julius, or this Anna person says, but to be honest, I'm not sure such a person would be interested in such a womanly and remunerated activities as delivering shopping to housebound and enfeeble old women. Yeah, you know why I fucking know about these groups? Because I'm on one. Of course, and Julia responds, of course you are dead right. I thought about that myself after I said it. It would probably be some sort of handmaiden type or some well-intentioned person who hadn't read the guidelines. The only reason a female impersonator would do it would be a fetishistic role play purpose or purposes, or perhaps financially or otherwise exploit the person they are supposed to be helping. Yeah. Yeah. So, God damn, these people are obsessed. Like, it literally, for so many people, are going to be hurting. And these motherfuckers. Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't hit OBS. These motherfuckers, this is what they're doing. Unfucking believable. Jamie J in the chat says, competitive drag, I could definitely see that as mocking trans people. Well, I'm not even saying mocking cis women. Okay, social justice demon. So this is another TERF, or trans critical. I'm not going to call. First off, let me tell you something about me. I refuse to call them gender critical because they don't protest. They don't protest gender reveals. They don't protest Tesco's with their gendered toys. They don't protest any of that bullshit. Gender pay gap. What do they protest? They protest trans women. So at the very least, they're anti-trans or they're trans critical. But they ain't gender critical. And I refuse to call them that. No, TERFs is another thing that I'll call them. So it's backwards for me. So this over here is Julia Long. She posted, let's see if I can find some of the highlights of the stuff that Julia Long has done. We'll look on YouTube because she. Long. We'll see what's on here. Oh, here we go. Here's plenty of this is from Posey Parker's page. That's not something that you want to see. I believe my desktop audio is not coming through. Can y'all hear? Because it's coming over my PC. I don't really want it to do that. Yeah, sorry about that. So I don't think the thing is I'm having problems. I'm having problems with desktop sound, but yeah, this is a trans event, and basically, they were led the fuck out because they were protesting a trans event, and that's kind of, International Transgender Day of Visibility. So that's what they do. That's what Julia Long does. Oh God. I don't know why I'm having these. I just upgraded to OBS, the latest OBS, and I think that's why I'm having these problems tonight. But so yeah, that's the kind of thing that they do. They protest trans events. So getting back to her little this bit. Julia Long basically is saying that she would, if she was recognized, that she might be kicked out of her local COVID-19 group because of who she is, and they're talking about trans women delivering food to them and how it would probably be some handmaiden type or some well-intentioned person who hadn't read the guidelines. And some of the comments are just absolutely hilarious. Apparently, only women do that. It's their job, you see. That's some top shelf feminism there. Talking about buying food. Oh, God. So, and Amy Dess says, I see trans women working in service industry all over the Seattle region. They aren't doing it for kicks. What in the world is she thinking? It literally, I'm Jamie J said, I hope she starves. Well, yes. I mean, it's just bizarre. It is just bizarre that is the hill they're going to die on. You know, you're not going to send me food. You're not going to deliver me goods. You're not going to help me. Really. It's unbelievable. So, yeah. That's your TERF moment tonight. Yeah. So if, like I said, if anybody wants to call in, feel free if you want to talk about this insanity. And it's hard for me to even comprehend. Like, you'd literally rather die than have a trans person help you. I mean, what I wanted to get back to too is, woman face is appropriation of blackface, and blackface is offensive on so many levels. It's offensive from the aspect of it was dehumanizing. It made people of color look like clowns and not human. It dehumanized them. Using that is just, it's appropriation, and it's racist as fuck. So you can't use that type of, I mean, I've tried to think of a word like Uncle Tom to describe people like that from a trans perspective, but I won't do it. Because there are people, and we just call them TERF tokens. We find another word. We don't try to appropriate another community's words that are packed full of history and struggle. And you're just going to come in and fucking take that and use it to appropriate your, just shove it right down into your struggle and pretend like it's even close to being the same. It's absurd. So yeah, that between the two things, Owen Jones is one of the people that agreed. Was one of the 300, and he wrote today, it starts by equating the horror of misogyny with the support for trans rights. They'll come for trans people first and then work their way through the LGBT window. And here you go. No idea why Owen Jones hate women so much. It's just disparaging, or it's despairing. And then, of course, somebody responds saying most gay men do, in my opinion, in my experience. And another person said, unfortunately, some gay men do hate. And the thing is, some gay men, I've always said, I think there are gay men that hate women, and there are gay men that love men. But that being said, Owen Jones has done nothing except for stand up for trans women. And that's why they're saying that he hates women so much. So, and he's right. Proof is in the pudding. They fucking come right after him. And I need to stop saying the F word so much. It's just tiresome. Oh, definitely stands. Yeah. There are gay men that hate men. Yeah. But it's just absurd. It's absurd. And what pisses me off more than anything, you know what the first activism that I did? It wasn't trans activism. It was LGBT activism. It was gay marriage. The first protest that I ever did was in 2002. And it was a tax day protest against, because gays and lesbians didn't get the tax benefits that because they couldn't get married. And I led one of the largest, I think to this day, it's still one of the largest LGBT protests in the state of Indiana. I organized that along with Pepper Parton, a lesbian. But we were the two main organizers of it. A trans woman and a lesbian. So I've been doing this all my life. Yes, I've done some trans activism, but, they make it out like there's this divide when there isn't. Gay people have stood next to me in fighting for trans rights. Lesbians have stood next to me fighting for trans rights. And these are just quislings. They're just people that literally, and here's the thing. I always say, when you get these people that'll talk about get the L out. I'm like, go your own way. You can be instead of men going their own way, you can be a gay going your own way or lesbian go your own way. Cool. Go. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You do your thing. That's the thing. Gays and lesbians pretty much have all their rights. So why are they getting involved with trans rights? Just go your own way. Jamie J says, the first activism I got involved with was poverty aid, and to this day I primarily work with that and unions. And that's a really good way to do it. I always tried to take a multiple. I felt like that there were other struggles that I needed to support and go out into the community, support anti-war, immigration. I always went out for those protests as well, because I feel like the LGBT community needed to show up at those events to be visible and support other progressive fights. Because I'm not just a queer. And that's funny. You know, people say, oh, well, you're just an autogynephile. And I'm like, first of all, if you're talking about autogynephilia, you know, 9 out of 10 women are AGP. Cis women are AGP. If you go by kind of the same definition. So, oopsies. It's absurd. So, yeah, that's that bullshit. And now you might think, wow, man, that's fucked up. I can't believe that. This next one's worse. This next one's actually worse. This is about Breadtube. And there is someone that used to go by the name Gwen No Fear, who a while back got accused by, as far as I'm aware, multiple people. And she admitted to sexually assaulting someone. I believe it was rape that she admitted to. And she's trans. And there are a bunch of people on Breadtube. For those of you who don't know, Breadtube is supposed to be the progressive left side of YouTube. Supposed to be. In my experience, it's been a fucking grift. But Gwen No Fear, she changed her name. She goes by the name Materialist Wife now. And so I don't know if y'all can see this. She literally posted a poll. This is her. Let's do good and just be good to each other. This is what she posted as a poll. Is incest better or worse if it's gay? That was one question. And the other question was, at what point does incest not matter? People are literally dying around the world. And this is what fucking part of Breadtube wants to talk about. This person, this person that let's take a look. Let's have a gander and see. Yes, I have muted some tweets. Yes. Let's see some people that follow this person. Yeah. Followers that I know. How about followers? Because I know that there's a Peter in here somewhere. A lot of the popular YouTube people, I believe Peter's in here, follow this person. And honestly, they haven't said jack shit. Oh, you guys, you guys also got a view of some people that I've blocked, but hey, I generally don't block people. Yes. Social Justice Demon said she changed her name to escape the rapey reputation associated with Gwen No Fear and was briefly accusing anyone who continued to acknowledge her old name as dead naming her. Yeah. Yeah, and that, oddly enough, Pig Puncher is claiming the same thing, that somehow using your old name on Twitter is somehow dead naming you. It's like, go fuck yourself. That's a slap in the face to trans people. This isn't how you identify. This is your name, and you're running from your fucking past and what you've done. You know? Fuck off. But yeah. The one person I will say that has said something is Christiosity. As per usual. Honestly, I think that Christiosity, she may not be perfect, but she is the part of Breadtube that I actually think has a fucking conscience. Oh, look. Guess who one of her followers is? Shoe on Head. Oh, you know that person that is the great leftist blue YouTuber now. Yes. Unfucking believable. But the big ones on Breadtube aren't gonna fucking talk about this. You know? Is Peter gonna talk about it? Some people call Peter Casket because they don't want to get dogpiled. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. They can dogpile the fuck out of me. To be honest with you, I don't care. I don't care. I've been sitting at 800 followers on Twitter forever, and I just don't care. I'm gonna say what I think. One thing lately, and Jamie J, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk about something that you and I talked about privately, but I'm just gonna go on my side of it. One thing that's really bothered me lately is that two things. You have a leftist Breadtube that pretends like it is progressive, and it's not. It's not progressive. It's not non-hierarchical. It's not. You literally have someone that has had or is friends with a trans person that has been accused of rape, and you're silent. One of them was a moderator. I can't say she was accused of. She's been accused of rape. Lorelai Bailey was accused of rape and sexual assault from various people. Jamie J. You can always call him Falcon the Hero. He's under an NDA and he can't talk about it, how that's him, which is hilarious. But this is Breadtube, you know? It is a fucking grift. These people exist to make money from leftist content. And that's it. And it's literally, well, the one thing that bothers me, I was watching the latest Kevin Logan and Christy Winters takedown, basically, of Pig Puncher, or I don't even know how you pronounce his new name. I was calling him Pig Fucker for a while, and it was an honest mistake, I swear to God, because I know Pig Fucker is David Cameron. But these people, they don't follow any kind of leftist. They don't live their ideology that they talk about, that they do fucking YouTube videos about, you know? It's so tiresome. You know, how many of these people, literally, there are people, like I said, that we're in uncharted territory when it comes to deaths. Where are these people? Out on the streets? Do they have their fucking, is Peter Coffin got his phone cam out on the streets of Ohio or wherever in the fuck he lives, putting out anarchist principles or leftist principles, or, you know, no, he's sitting on his fucking computer talking to his little buddies on Twitter. You know, ain't not doing jack shit. It's tiresome. Live your fucking values, you know? And when I see you, what I see you doing is not talking about people that you're friends with that sexually assault people. And you don't have anything to say about that, but you can fucking go on about shoe on head. Shoe on head called Leslie Jones a gorilla. She's never apologized to Leslie Jones, as far as I'm aware. And she really hasn't walked back anything that she's said concerning that I know of. It's just, but she does have more followers than someone like, oh, I don't know, Dusty Smith, who in my mind is the person that is the prototype for a person coming from the alt-right. If you want to see what an alt-right person that wants to go alt-left or leftist, to see what they do, you follow Dusty Smith's example. So, you know, when it comes down to it, these people just, it's all about the followers. It's all about the grift. Blitz, this person called Blitz, said, begging for a materialist wife to shut the fuck up forever and get out of leftist spaces. Why do so many left tubers just let her stay and cozy up to her? She's a rapist and she has no concern for sexual assault survivors. Content warning: incest. I just saw the recent shit of her going over incest, and it's taking every ounce of my willpower not to stoop to say something really ugly because I'm a survivor of incest, and nothing makes me angrier than people saying how there's nothing wrong with it and how hot it is. Incest ruined my family's lives, and it ruins the lives of many other survivors as well. It isn't cute and it isn't right. Incest is fundamentally an abuse of family dynamics, and it's wrong no matter how you paint it. Oddball says, they simply don't care whether she's a confirmed rapist. LeftTube only cares about their brand and making money. There's a community of grifters where leftist values, or I don't even think it's leftist values. I think it's leftist rhetoric. It's a fucking placard that they can set down and say, this is what I'm selling. Would you like to buy some Amway, some leftist Amway? They're a community of grifters where leftist values, or even being a decent human being, is only important as long as it doesn't inconvenience them. And Joey commented, said, when I told Chrisiosity, she responded and was devastated, but she acknowledged it. So far, nobody else has, unless you count Peter Coffin, who insists on defending every YouTube rapist ever because cancel culture is bad. Yeah. Cancel culture is bad when Lisa Weird says, a lot of people with right-wing beliefs don't like admitting to it and will use their 1 and 2 left-wing beliefs as proof of them being left-wing. Oh, yeah. Well, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. We could go down. Social Justice Demon said Dusty wasn't someone Breadtubers could leech followers off of. And that is the God's honest fucking truth. The thing is, he lost followers, and he's still kind of struggling to find his place, and he's going back to doing atheist content, and he started a progressive show. But I think he is the prototype. If it's about ethics, if it's about fucking numbers, if it's about, poaching somebody's viewers. And this is what kills me too. A lot of these people supported Bernie Sanders or Bernie stands or whatever. Guess what? They're not about accountability, because I've not heard one of them talk about why Bernie Sanders lost, other than it's some fucking conspiracy or whatever. And Dusty recently on a stream was talking about that. He basically did a show on why Joe Biden, policy-wise, was better than Donald Trump. And Bernie people just had a shit fit. This guy takes people on, but nobody talks about him because they can't leech viewers. And it's just, well, maybe it's bad of me, but I mean, somebody that started out, their first claim to fame was kicking themselves in the balls. Literally the equivalent of ow my balls from Idiocracy. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna go have to go take some sound clips from ow my balls, and that's gonna be my Peter Coffin reference audio clip. Yeah, that's a thing. Social Justice Demon says, and Dusty takes no shit. I respect that because I don't take shit either, and it gets both of us in trouble. Yeah, well, I'm just to the point in my life where I'm doing this because I want to. I'm not doing this for a check. I'm not doing this. If you want to, you can go to Patreon and join the Patreon. That helps us continue to do this. Pays for the streaming costs and stuff like that. But that being said, I'm going to keep doing it regardless. Big secret. You'll get a lot of people, they'll say, this show will not exist without your help. Please give. I'll send you a tote bag. That would be odd, getting a tea party tote bag. But yeah, I'm going to continue to do this. In fact, usually on nights where I've just gotten off work and I have something to say, I'm going to do it. But I'm not doing this for a grift. I'm not doing this for a paycheck. I'm not looking to quit my job and go full time. I already am full time. But yeah, so that's why you need a pop filter, or not put your nose next to the microphone. But yeah, I just, to me, it's unbelievable that someone will talk about, their topic during this time. People are hurting. There's so much uncertainty in the world. What do we need to talk about? Incest, and make it creepy. No, thank you. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'm just, it's sickening. So anyways, if nobody wants to call me, if you do, speak up in the chat, because I'd love to make this a two-way conversation. But I think what I'm going to do is end with some music. If somebody wants to call in or Zoom in, we can do that. If not, we'll end the show. But I'm going to keep it open for another 10 minutes at least. Call now! I actually backed up to do that. I knew it was going to be loud. Social Justice Demon, this isn't peer pressure. I was thinking more of some random geek or Jamie J or whoever wants to call, but it's, to be honest with you, I want to have a conversation if people are up for it. If not, Mel, I saw Mel was in here earlier. Yeah. I just, for me, this is about building community and can we call over Discord? I think we could try it. That's the thing I've been working on. There's a plugin, not a plugin, but it's more like a sound card thing. Let me see. I would post my public my public calendar, but that doesn't seem too safe. So I'm just looking to see what I'm working. So I'll probably do a live stream on Sunday night. Maybe Saturday night, maybe Sunday night. I don't want to step in any toes. Social justice alchemy. But let's see. No, that's the thing. Social justice demon. There is no pressure. I have Discord. I need to get another screen. So I can have one thing that I can have things that you guys aren't supposed to see on it, and then the other one for stuff you can see. All right, so let's see. Jamie, here's the thing. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can do this. Turn on. Oh, are you talking now? Because I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me fiddle with my settings. Now you're playing with power. I know you can hear me. I just can't hear you yet. Are you there? I don't know. I'm not having mic issues. Yeah, Jamie, I don't know. Discord is kind of weird. Because I should be able to hear you. But I can't. And I know that I can see me moving, but I can't hear you. Which sucks. Let's see if I can somehow make this work. Yeah. You know what? I think I can do this. Hold on. Let me try this another way. Jamie J. Let me. I have an idea. So I can log out of this on Discord. This is fascinating radio. I know. It's fascinating YouTube. But I just realized I have Bluetooth on my phone. I can get on Discord on here, I think. I think that'll work.
What did they say to you?
Oh, yeah, I can't. I was running into... Let's see. Jamie J. I think this is going to work, actually. Maybe. Yeah, it should. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yay! I am not completely bad at this. How are you tonight?
I am doing incredibly frustrated for reasons related to those that you were just discussing.
Which one? The Breadtube or the TERFdom?
Both, but generally as a concept.
How so?
Just I think that you and I have spoken privately enough times about my frustrations with certain breadtubers, and TERF's existence is pretty horrible. At the moment, I'm a little frustrated because you reminded me of Bailey, who not only is a serial rapist, but and I don't know if you knew this, but she's also an FBI informant.
Yeah.
Who informed
yeah.
on activists.
Lols. Yeah. I'm aware. I have my own stories to tell on that, but let's just say I try to keep as far away as I can from her. And the one thing that really bothered me when it came to that with Peter is he kept on saying, well, I'm not a detective, and first off, that's the first rule of if somebody says that they've been sexually assaulted, you believe them, that you hear them. You don't say, I'm not a detective, and it's absurd because you don't have to be a detective. So,
I think if you're choosing to be skeptical as a community leader of people who claim to have been victimized by people in your community, who you have empowered in your community,
and
you need to be a detective.
You're fucking moderator. You're moderator of your Discord server.
If you're not going to take the listen and believe policy, you need to at least actually be a detective.
Well, the absurdity of that alone, even if you discounted all that, go out and look at her activities on I mean, it's documented everywhere. She ran who's the guy that used to be on Star Trek? Will Wheaton. She ran him off of fucking Mastodon. I mean, the amount of shitty things that she's done that have nothing to do with sexual assault is I mean, you can go find that stuff as well. She's not let's put it this way, even without the sexual assault stuff, she's not a positive, uplifting, she's not somebody that I would want as a moderator in anything that I ran. Absolutely nothing. But I think you're right. I think you're spot on. He should have been a detective. If he's going to be skeptical, if he's going to, claim to be a community leader or even a voice within the community, the Breadtube community, to have any kind of ethics, I think it calls you to do that, and how long it took him to actually get rid of her as a moderator. And this wasn't a big, to be honest with you, I joined his Discord server, and as soon as I saw that she was there, I left. Because it's well known among many in the trans community how toxic she is. This isn't some big secret.
Yeah, when I had just come out, I at the time was a moderator for Coffin as well, and that was when it is that he introduced me to it. And it did not take long for people to let me know, warn me to keep an eye out for her because I was talking to her. It is really well known. I'm surprised if they didn't, if they weren't aware about her before, all of this went down.
If he didn't, it shows a great lack of responsibility.
I want to just, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Peter exclusively uses they, them now.
He uses what?
They, them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow them, but yeah.
Well, he said he doesn't care. He said,
oh, okay.
He said specifically he doesn't care what pronouns people use for him. So
yeah, I know that he used to say that. I think this is within the last week or two.
Okay.
yeah, brand new stuff.
To be honest with you, I don't keep up on them anymore. Honestly, I just, the hypocrisy of, and the just downright obvious grift, the stuff with June for me. Well, I can go back. I really felt like shit when Leto kind of warned quite a few of us when he didn't respond to when people called him out for ableism on one of his videos. And she had him pegged spot on. He doesn't take responsibility, doesn't as far as I know, I've never seen him come out and apologize or admit to having a bad take. And I don't know why that's so fucking difficult for people to do. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but ContraPoints, when she went on her, oh God, I'm gonna go off Twitter, blah blah blah. You guys are just attacking me, blah 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 blah. What should I do? What do you expect me to do? And I'm like, I'm old. I've been at this shit a long time. I had Black Twitter come after me because I fucked up. I actually, in a post that I wrote about RuPaul, wrote out the N-word. And that was wrong. It was bullshit. And I was young enough that I didn't know about how entrenched my white privilege was and my own internal racist outlook was. It was hard for me to, just like for a lot of white people, I think, own up to that and talk about it. But that's what you do. When you fuck up, you own it and you do the right thing. So, I've when it comes to Breadtube, I haven't seen it. I haven't. And people, and again, if people walk the walk, where are Breadtubers right now in terms of leading this community, the leftist community right now, when there is, you actually have people in government talking about universal basic income. Where are they in leading the fight for that? Talking about fucking incest. I
Yeah. It's pretty. It's pretty appalling how it is that simultaneously they want all of the benefits of being, and not just Peter, but several Breadtubers want all of the benefits of having their voice heard and being treated as a community leader, but none of the actual responsibilities, none of the actual work of going out and fighting for significant changes in policies, fighting for people who are marginalized and oppressed. Instead, they just want to sit around and laugh at quote unquote cringy right wingers. And that doesn't do things. It does, but it doesn't.
Well, something that can I speak about what you and I talked about?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Jamie and I got into a conversation privately about Kevin Logan doing a stream about Pig Puncher. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with, there's a certain kind of, and I forget what did you call it? Like it's like we're going to take somebody like Sargon or Pig Puncher or someone along those lines that's basically doing a performative grift, whatever ideology you want to talk about it, they're playing to an audience, whether it's the dirtbag left or the alt-right. They're playing to that audience, and they don't give a shit whether they're researched or not. They don't care. So when you take their videos and pick them apart, number one, and just, laugh at their videos and things like that. And one of the ones that I felt bad about liking was oh God, what is his name? He's got the fridge, the mini fridge, War Corpse. The guy seems like he might have some mental health issues on board, or some cognitive issues, and
some substance use issues, which the part that frustrates me is, and I didn't mention this in our conversation, but that is made fun of.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe part of this is because I have a background in substance use counseling, but that doesn't do anything positive for anything, except unless you are intentionally wanting to increase the stigmatization of substance use, which you would only want to do if you actually want to hurt people, not if you want to help them.
Well, and there was something that you pointed that you pointed to, and I right now I can't go go look, but it's almost like this kind of game that they play, and it's like a ping pong. It's like, and it's performative. It's totally made up to like on Sargon's case, he doesn't give, I don't think he cares anything about what he's actually talking about it being researched or anything like that. There are certain people that want to hear what he has to say. You know, people don't like Nigel Farage because he's factual. You know, people don't like Sargon because he's factual. They like him because he reinforces a belief that they have. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And that's where he makes his living. And when you're responding to this, when you're picking apart these people, it's almost like, you know, I mean, Kevin and Christy will kind of pick apart what they say and laugh, ha 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 ha, you know, and it's almost like this kind of jousting match. It doesn't do anything. They're just literally doing commentary on another person's grift, and they're grifting off a grift. They're like surfing on each other's fucking grift.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think I said something like whether or not they're intentionally drawing attention to the bigots and the abusers, ultimately all they're doing is drawing more eyes the way of the bigotry and the abuse, and it just kind of enables them to grift off of that.
Yeah, it's definitely...
Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, and it's definitely something that it's... It gamifies it in a way. It gamifies it almost into like this cruel marathon. And let's see how we can pick apart these people. And it's not in service of anything other than mocking or having, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. Some random geek in the chat says, my younger brother likes to hear what Sargon of Akkad says. He makes good points, his brother says, which are points that he agrees with and doesn't have to change his worldview. And that it's cognitive bias. People want to listen to people like Sargon or, you know, Pig Puncher or... how do you pronounce his new name, by the way?
His new name is Vanderhall. It's short for his real name, Alexander.
Oh, Xanderhall? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like some 90s show.
It sounds like some teenage edgelord shit. Gotta start my name with the X.
I had forgotten about edgelord. Or no. What is the thing that was popular when people wouldn't do drugs? That were straight edge.
Straight edge, yeah.
And didn't they have a lot of X's in their names? Like XX, blah blah blah.
Them, yeah.
That was such a 90s thing. But yeah, I just when I see that kind of it doesn't move the left forward at all. And it, like you said, it elevates the person that they're grifting on. It elevates their platform. And you know, as much as there were parts of it that when I started watching it, the Kevin Logan, Christy Winters stream, I did find it entertaining, but that is part of the problem. This isn't leftist content. it's entertainment for the sake of entertainment. And why am I doing that to myself? There must be, they must be tapping into some serotonin thing in my head, but I don't go away from that thinking, God, you know what? I have a better idea of leftism, of progressivism, of anarchism than when I got on there. I just feel a little bit more shitty that I just watched someone pick apart another person. I don't see it as something that is a positive thing to put out in the world, and it's definitely not leftist. It's definitely not Breadtube. I don't think Peter Kropotkin would approve. But that's just my opinion. Are you still with me, Jamie? Did I lose you? I think I may have. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry about that. I think that was my fault.
Okay.
I think I let my...
Yeah, I don't know whose fault it was, but suddenly you disconnected and reconnected, and then I couldn't hear you.
Unlike Breadtube, I will own my mistakes. That was me. It was definitely me.
But yeah, so it is frustrating. It is like you were saying. It is.
It's not a positive thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a helpful thing. It's not a leftist thing. It's not a progressive thing.
Right. It doesn't build things. Like there is a point where it is that communicating harm is good, but making a spectacle of it, yes. I don't know if I'm on board of that.
Making it a sport. You know,
that's a big part of why I dislike the blood sports thing too, because it's not about two different people with similar values and perspectives trying to hash out the best way to make the world better. It's a person who doesn't think a group of people are people, and a person who knows that they're going to be an easy target to yell at for that, and that's it.
Yeah, and there was it's something that I point to a lot, but it was there's a guy, his name is, for the life of me, I want to see if I can bring this up. When you give people like this a platform, well, let me put it to you this way. I'm all about no platforming. Because I think legitimacy is something that people like Sargon or anybody like that, if you're giving them a platform, they've already won. Even before they say anything, they've already won.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a large part of what it is that they're looking for, is to expand their audience. And ultimately, we are fighting the harder fight because we are fighting for people to change things. We are fighting for people to stop enabling things that they maybe don't agree with, but don't want to think too hard about, because like challenging their perspectives and their views and coming to an understanding of just how much is like people who oppose, for instance, white supremacy or colonialism or imperialism or patriarchy often don't realize just how much capitalism is built on those things, and just how much like the states we have in place, the way that they are structured is built on that currently, is built on empowering the majority at the expense of people overseas and brown people and women and trans people and queer people in general, and just how much if we want to address those issues, one of the parts of addressing those issues has to be dismantling the structure, the systems that are built upon the structure of those things.
Well, and that's well, when it comes to anarchists, I really have a big issue with even being on Patreon. I mean, I struggle with it with myself because I don't want to make this a grift or B something that's hierarchical. I want to bring people in and have conversations. But that being said, there's a certain amount of, I live in a capitalist society and I have to somewhat take part in that, but as little as possible. But I don't find that anybody in Breadtube is kind of it's all about the grift. It's all about the hierarchy. It's all about having the person that has the biggest platform being exalted like shoe on head, and other people running after that. And I don't see that it's like you said. It was for the life of me, I forget who said it, but talking about the master's tools and dismantling the master's house. That you can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. And I don't believe that YouTube, the way it is, especially Breadtube, is going to
I believe that was Audre Lorde.
It was. You're not going to use YouTube to sow revolution. For fuck's sake, you have people that get pissed off about rhetoric, about talking about guillotines or all all cops are bastards, or anything like that. And it's just like, people are, if you're not gonna sow revolution.
I don't think that Google, which is notoriously working alongside the United States government, or Amazon, which owns Twitch and is currently providing the infrastructure that ICE is using to round up, to organize their rounding up of primarily brown people to throw into concentration camps. I don't think that these groups are going to allow and enable us to dismantle those structures, because it's not like they have a problem with them.
Well, I wanted to read something, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
This is from a guy on Twitter that goes by Julius Goat, or his name is A.R. Amoxon. And he said, imagine you have a friend. Let's call him Rick Reasonable. Now, imagine you have an enemy, and your enemy is Bart B. Allingwater. Bart is a real piece of crap. Whenever he sees you, he throws boiling water on you. Usually you dodge it, but every once in a while he catches you with a bit of it. You have some bad scarring on one of your arm and in a few places and on your neck. You constantly have to be on the lookout for Bart because if you let your guard down, it's scalding water time. Rick is a good friend. He thinks it's really bad that Bart throws boiling water on you. He tells you all the time. He's written some letters to the newspaper about how bad Bart is for throwing water on you. Sometimes he'll even go out with you to watch your back. He's got a popular TV show, and he's gone on record a few times that Bart is in the wrong for trying to hit you in the face with boiling water. Then one day you turn on the TV at the end of the day and you see Rick has Bart on as a guest. Rick is arguing with Bart about whether or not it is good to douse you with boiling water at every available opportunity. Rick is parsing things a little more than you'd like. He wants to know if the water has to be boiling, if it can't just be very hot. Bart says, no, it really does have to be boiling. But does it have to be water? Rick asks. Could it be something a bit easier to dodge, like molasses or tar? Bart thinks about this and decides he isn't sure. He'll have to get back to Rick on that one, but he really prefers water. Rick wants to know if there can't be days where Bart could promise not to throw boiling water at you. Bart does not really want to set that sort of precedent. Rick would like to know why it needs to be you every time. Bart is shocked that Rick would suggest such a thing. He insists he doesn't have a throwing boiling water on you specifically bone in his body. He just believes that throwing boiling water and you just happen to be the one that's there every time. He'd like to know why. If you apparently hate being struck with boiling water, why you insist on being in areas where you know he will be throwing it. He suggests that Rick is the one that really Rick is really the one slinging him. Bart, out by being so intolerant of his rich cultural heritage of throwing boiling water on people, he hints that Rick's constant scolding makes Bart want to seek out you specifically now to throw boiling water on you, daring to suppose such a thing of him. Rick appears to have conceded that Bart absolutely does have the right to walk the streets carrying as much boiling water as he wants in the long-standing tradition of our country. Bart appreciates Rick's stance on the matter and compliments him on his willingness to find common ground. And it goes on and on and on and on. But basically, he comes back and says, imagine it, the idea of watching your friend have a conversation, one where whether or not you should be allowed to be harmed or maimed or even killed with a person who is actively trying to do it. Imagine it, the idea that your friend would be more concerned with appearing to be open-minded in public than defending your actual skin from scalding off your actual flesh. Somewhere, an idea took hold that one of the key issues to being open-minded was engagement with every idea and giving every notion equal consideration. At some point, we decided it was of primary importance to remember that every issue has two sides. At some point, we decided that the recipe for fostering a civil society was this: to take both sides, present them as equally valuable and equally worthy for all to decide which should rise and which should fall. We should teach the controversy and let the conclusions fall where they will. A market of ideas, we call it, the underlying assumption that to the metaphor being, I think, a market never fails to select quality. Certainly, supposing we live in a society that believes profit is a foundational good, it would make a lot of sense we would hold such an idea. And a marketplace for ideas might actually work, I think, provided all ideas were presented in good faith. Each debater is interested in letting the best ideas rise, providing the customers are knowledgeable and unwilling to buy junk simply because it is convenient, comfortable, or has a familiar brand and tastes right. But that rarely happens. And he goes on to talk about why there are bad ideas and why trans people shouldn't. One of the things he talked about Some people's ideas are genocide and slavery. They don't want to win the debate. They just want to be listed on the exchange. They don't have ideas as such. They have intentions. The idea is to have a seat at the table. They have an instrumental view of debate, not a philosophical one. You can tell this because they will effortlessly change from one statement to a contradictory one if it is useful in the moment to take a contradictory position in order to fulfill that intention. Lies are no longer lies. Facts are no longer facts. Lies and facts are just tools towards a desired intention. So it's all about getting your view out there, not that it be right or wrong, but that it be there, that it gives you legitimacy. And every time I see this, I think of this post. Once you're willing to debate whether or not one group of people or another should be abused, then abusing and expelling people from society is something that's up for debate. It's on the table. It's listed in the exchange. If we are debating whether or not there ought to be laws preventing trans people from bathrooms, then we're already debating the wrong thing, and as a result, we have lost. And I think that is spot the fuck on.
Yeah, I very much agree that, and I've said this as well for a number of years, that if you are arguing with bigots, then you are saying that bigotry is an argument to have, that is an acceptable position to hold, and I don't know. There's multiple problems with it. One of which is bigotry is not built on logical, evidential proof. It's not an argument. It's a feeling of entitlement to put others down because of the benefits that you have from their oppression, and that's not debatable. You can't turn around because they're not wrong when it comes to that. They're not. The benefits that white people have on the backs of people of color, the benefits that men have on the backs of women, the benefits that cis people have on the back of trans people, the benefits that heterosexuals have on the backs of queer folks, that allosexuals have on ace people and aro people, that able-bodied neurotypical people have on the disabled and the neurodivergent. All of that is real. And if you are trying to debate whether or not it's real, they win because it is. And we're trying to say it's not okay. And that's not a purely factual argument. That's not a, the science says that it's wrong. The science doesn't prove what's right and wrong. Caring about people does. And that's what we're trying to talk about. We're not trying to talk about whether or not it's factual that you have these benefits and that you want them. We're trying to talk about whether or not it's okay for you to have them at the expense of other people.
There was a comment. I think it was Dan Errol. Yes, I found it. I said a friend of mine said of atheist debates, and this was Dan Errol. He said debates are actually useless. Being a good debater doesn't mean you're right, and it rarely changes anyone's minds. Ask 10 creationists and 10 atheists who won the ham versus nye debate. And I think the only thing that you've done when you give someone a platform like that is elevated their argument to be acceptable, to be equal. It's the other side. But it's not equal. And I get what you're saying as far as like, I think sometimes trans people and TERFs especially talk past each other and what they mean. Because I know what my genetic biology is, but I also know what my phenotype is and genotype, and TERFs will sit there and say, being a woman is not a feeling, and as if feelings are somehow not real, because love is a feeling. There are plenty of things that are socially constructed that are real, quote real, and I have to live in this society and how I define myself and my gender. I don't sit there and check my gamete size. If you want to do that, more fucking power to you, but I'm not going to sit there and have a debate on gametes. But it's not a debate that I even think that it's worth having, because it's not a good faith debate. They literally just want on stage. That's why I don't have any problems with people deplatforming TERFs, because what they're debating is my humanity, and literally, Janice Raymond said they wanted to morally get rid of us. I forget what her exact quote was. Morally mandate us out of existence. And some of the other more puerile TERFs have said they don't want us to exist. Bev Joe literally said, you think that we're going to feel bad when you show us the transgender Day of Remembrance murder numbers. We want you all dead. We wish you would all die. And that's essentially what she said. So, I mean,
yeah, it's that's exactly what I'm saying, basically, is whereas what we are fighting for is people who are oppressed and people who people are oppressed for a reason, unfortunately, and that reason is not because those people deserve it, but because other people are privileged through that oppression. Other people get cheap materials through conflict that create starving entire countries full of starving people. People want that. They want the ability to not have to compete with people of other racial backgrounds for the same job, for the same opportunities. They don't want to have to deal with the conflict of engaging with people with different religious and political values. They want to sit back in an all cishet white world with people on the outside dealing with all of the problems they don't want to. And they want that to in many cases benefit them more. Yeah. Even when they turn around and they say that they want this because it helps poor people, they want it because it helps poor white people. They want it because it helps poor cis people. They want it because it helps poor men, because it helps poor able-bodied people. they're not really concerned about the people who aren't necessarily going to be helped out by a lot of those structures. And unless they take a step back and actually start caring about people who don't have it so great, and start acknowledging that even though they might have it crap, like absolutely, utterly horrible life, they've got some privileges almost certainly that they benefit from. They keep them from having it as bad as if they were in the same circumstance and maybe had a different ability to see or different were neurotypical or were neurodivergent in a way that they currently are not. And they benefit from a lot of those privileges because this is a world that is built upon serving a majority, a political majority. And again, a lot of these people just don't focus on any of that. They don't care. They want what's good for them. I think I might have been talking to you when I said this, but the way I've started looking at it recently is it's not I got mine, fuck you. It's I want mine, fuck you. And I think a lot of politics today is built on that, and a lot of what debate is about can't address that, and ultimately just ends up legitimizing that is an okay perspective to have.
Do you mean in a kind of like a tribalistic kind of way? Like a team of, it's like a gamification kind of way?
I mean like I've got mine as in I want my good job, I want my health care, I want my better world, I want my guaranteed income. And when you have people who are in the political majority in some way or another saying that, they don't care as long as they get it, they don't care that other people aren't. And they're not focusing on that. It's not an issue to them. They just want their own life better. And they're not really concerned about people who have their lives even worse than they do.
Yeah. I think that is, on a lot of different levels, true. And that's very, very, very profound. Because I see that, like, I think the whole point of, and for me, a lot of my own kind of introspection when it comes to trans stuff is because I don't want to be misogynistic. I don't want to be all these, things that that are claimed, and that have been even before I was, that I knew I was trans, that I understood it. But I try to be intersectional and understand my own privilege. And I think there are so many people that, like you said, just don't, they want, it's fuck you. I want mine. Fuck you. And that's not equality. That's not justice. That's not social justice. It almost reminds me in a way of the difference between fighting for marriage equality and like workers' rights and that kind of thing. So much of the gay community, there's been a constant struggle. The LGBT community, there's been a constant struggle between what I call the people that are like the Mattachine Society, the gays that wanted to conform and that wanted to put their suit and ties on, and we're just like you, the Pete Buttigieg's of the world. And then you have the radical fairies, the people that are like, fuck you, I'm different, I'm going to love me. And, you need to either love me too or just mind your own fucking business, because I'm going to be me, and I want to live in a society that celebrates my difference, rather than me conforming to your sameness. And I think there's always been that kind of tension. I mean, even when people talk about the probably the biggest, the Stonewall riots, and people will argue about who was there, who wasn't there. I'll tell you who wasn't there. The majority of the people that started Stonewall weren't white cishet people. Sorry, they weren't. People that went to the Stonewall Inn were not white cishet people. That's just, I mean, you can argue about who was there, who threw what, and who started what. But the reality is the people that were there, the people that started that, they weren't the Mattachine Society of the Sisters of Bliss or any of the organization or Daughters of Bliss, I think. Anyways, the organizations that were looking for conformity into society. Those weren't the people that started this the LGBT movement. It moved it along, really. Were the people that were the radical fairies, that were the people that said, look, this is who I am. Deal with it. Get over it. That's the whole thing of gay pride. It was, I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it. I mean, they would literally scream that. It wasn't, I'm here, I'm queer, can I be like you?
Yeah. I think this is a lot of why it is that radical movements come from people who have been radically disenfranchised, and it's because the people who are served by the political system in place, whether that's a monarchy or a liberal conservative democracy, like a representative democracy, or it's a authoritarian state communist or state capitalist or attempt at a socialist governmental structure. The people who are going to look to change that structure and who are operating on a basis of justice are the people who are going to be hurt by that system, largely, if not entirely. And I think that's because they know that working within the system doesn't work, because the system doesn't want them. The system wants them to be quiet and be useful, and that's all.
Squaring it back around to Breadtube, kind of bringing it back there. Do you think that that's pretty much the case as far as Breadtube goes in terms of I mean, I go back and forth because I mean, I do think that there is some content out there that is useful to understand theory. Some random geek has done some voiceovers from some of the stuff that I really like, but I don't know that the stuff that people really like is something that is helpful, mindful, anything other than a blood sport, and a grift that helps us move things forward. I don't. Am I off there?
I think that there are some creators whose primary focus is on spectaculating oppression and sort of presenting themselves as saviors, or allies, or whatever word they might or might not be using to describe themselves. But there's also, I agree, there are some aspects of leftist content creators that are doing agitation and education work, and that are helping people to organize. And my perspective is the people who are opposed to that, or are just grifting off of that, are harming any sort of like community building, organizing, educating efforts that those other groups are looking to. Because if we do have people who are coming in as not radicals, as liberals, as people who
I'm tending to think people that come in that are like Steve Shives, that have that kind of mindset, kind of liberal leaning
moderates that are interested.
Yeah.
And if we do have those people coming in, and then they start hearing about the radical ideas of syndicalist organizing, or of anarchist structures, and they are hearing some ideas that are completely foreign to them, that are going to be really confusing, and they are going to need a lot of people explaining to them, and they're going to be seeking out, if they are genuinely curious to hear more, they're going to be seeking out more perspectives and more understanding about this. And then if they come across a Twitch streamer who is like throwing the N-word in, and if they are someone who doesn't realize that it's not okay to throw around the N-word, it's going to reinforce that idea. And if there's someone who realizes that that's not okay at all, it's just going to make them feel alienated. And so I think we need to work as a community to distance ourselves from people who want to be part of this community, who want to be part of an online leftist content creator sphere, but don't they don't really espouse the values of making the world radically different so it can be better for everyone.
Can I just think about this for a minute? Could it just be that you're just a woke scold?
It could. Using that as a I assume you're joking. I do want to say that I've been making efforts to avoid that language.
It's absurd. It's right wing.
The main reason, well, it is right wing, but it essentially woke is a term that comes, to my knowledge, out of the African American community.
Correct.
And it is used to describe people who recognize white supremacy for what it is. I could be wrong about that. I'm not a part of that community. But that is my understanding. And so essentially calling someone a woke scold is calling them a race traitor. And I don't know if I'm okay co-opting that kind of language even as a joke.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to stay away from that.
I can see that. I can see that. I just think
Yeah.
even without that context, the whole point of it is to cut off conversation or criticism. Period. It's a way to not own what you've said or have any responsibility for what you've said. Oh, I mean, if you, whatever you want to call it, it's a way to not it's a way to stop, they talk about being for free speech and everything, but that's a conversation ender right there. It's a way to not talk about, it's kind of I played a video the other night. I think you probably saw it, about when you're talking about how to talk about what you said as opposed to what you are. I think when it comes to this kind of thing, it's almost like it's the opposite of that. It's a way, it's literally, it's a way to cut off the conversation, because basically what you're saying is the person is not, and I agree. I'd have to reflect on it a bit. I do think that woke is a term that comes out of the African American, the Black Twitter, essentially. But the African American community, it's not something that I should ever, even jokingly, co-opt. But that being said, I'm more talking about it from the standpoint of kind of mocking them for even using it, because to me it's something that is it's not leftist, it's alt-right, and you're using the language of an oppressor. So, and if putting on top, or putting that in with it, it's like you said, it's a co-opting language that's not yours. So I definitely get that. And the only reason that I kind of brought that up is because A, I thought it was kind of funny, and B, there are people that try to use that kind of rhetoric to, in conversations like this that we're having tonight, and not have to own up to where their intentions lie. I keep going back to it over and over and over again, but the biggest example of this for me was MythCon a couple years back, when Christiosity went, and I always go searching for the same GIF, and it's a GIF of Wile E. Coyote clocking out at the end of a shift with the sheepdog, and that, like, they're buddies at the end of the day, and that's exactly what these people were, partying together. Because it's just a grift. Christiosity was one of the few people that didn't attend that party because she didn't feel comfortable doing it. But for the most part, I think a lot of these people see it as something that gets them where they want to go monetarily. And at the end of the day, that's it. People in the chat are talking about SJW. And MLK was an SJW. Jamie was saying that. TERFs will call me a TRA, and I'm like, fuck yes, I'm a TRA. I'm a trans rights activist or a trans.
Oh yeah, totally.
Fuck yes, I am a social justice warrior. Fuck yes, man. I'll I'll go get a shield and go to war for social justice. Fuck yes. What kind of person are you that you're against social justice? I mean, that really says a lot. And
yeah, I mean, absolutely the same. I of course care about the rights of marginalized people. Why is that bad to you? Why does that make me some kind of obnoxious like extremist? Whereas you not caring about those things makes you just acceptable. Why is that a thing that people think is fine?
Well, and it's the ironic part is that basically what they're saying is that they're upholding the status quo, and that's what they care about. They don't give a shit about actual justice. They Martin Luther King talked about the white liberal or the white moderate. I believe it was in the letter to the Birmingham jail, or from the Birmingham jail. And I always think about that. In the context, so much was going on at that time. Letter from a Birmingham jail, he wrote, "I must confess that over the past few years I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's greatest stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or a Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in your goal that you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exist for the purpose of establishing justice, and that they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. And it's just like, man, of all the things that he was going through at the time, to think that the white moderate was the biggest roadblock. It's just wow. But I get it. I totally get it. You can totally understand how people to this day, white moderates, white cishet,
Yeah, he made a similar statement about liberalism in where do we go from here, chaos or community, which was the last book that he wrote, where he says, a leading voice in the chorus of social transition belongs to the white liberal. Over the last few years, many Negroes have felt that their most troublesome adversary was not the obvious bigot of the Ku Klux Klan or the John Birch Society, but the white liberal who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers tranquility to equality. The white liberal must see that the Negro needs not only love, but justice. It is not enough to say, we love Negroes. We have many Negro friends. They must demand justice for Negroes. Love that does not satisfy justice is no love at all. It is merely a sentimental affection, little more than what one would love for a pet. Love at its best is justice concretized. Love is unconditional. It is not conditional upon one staying in his place or watering down his demands in order to be considered respectable. The white liberal must rid himself of the notion that there can be a tensionless transition from the old order of injustice to the new order of justice. The Negro has not gained a single right in America without persistent pressure and agitation. Nonviolent coercion always brings tension to the surface. This tension, however, must not be seen as destructive. There is a kind of tension that is both healthy and necessary for growth. Society needs nonviolent gadflies to bring its tension into the open and force its citizens to confront the ugliness of their prejudices and the tragedy of their racism. It is important for the liberal to see that the oppressed person who agitates for his rights is not the creator of tension. He merely brings out the hidden tension that is already alive. Last summer, when we had our open housing marches in Chicago, this was published in 1967, many of our white liberal friends cried out in horror and dismay. You are creating hatred and hostility in the white communities in which you are marching. You are developing only a white backlash. I could never understand that logic. They failed to realize that the hatred and the hostilities were already latently or subconsciously present. Our marches merely brought that to the surface. The white liberal must escalate his support for racial justice rather than de-escalate it. The need for commitment is greater today than ever.
You know what's amazing in that? I mean, so much is, but it's still true today. It hasn't changed.
Oh, absolutely.
It hasn't changed fucking for the most part, it hasn't changed a goddamn thing. And he literally wrote that the year I was born. And hardly a thing's changed. I mean, I understand that he said that Justice bends. I forget the exact quote but it bends to that justice bends towards. Anyways, basically, that eventually that justice will come, but it's like fuck. The same white liberal guilt and like striving for peace and tranquility rather than justice. You see it every fucking day. I mean, you see it in this election cycle. I mean, I hate going down this road, but you see it a lot in the Bernie Sanders supporters today that are all over social media that'll be crying about, how Bernie Sanders is just been betrayed and blah, 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 and going down all these different roads to explain why he lost. And they have no concept of the racism and lack of focus that the Sanders campaign ignored minority communities, whether it's the Black community or the LGBT community or the Latinx community. I mean, and placated to white liberals, made it all about income inequality. It just seems like it's the same shit, different day, different decade. You know, I've been on this planet for 50 fucking decades, and it hasn't changed. Not a lot's changed. But it's frustrating, and I think a lot of the work that needs to be done has to be done building things. And that's what I hope that in discussions of this, that's what comes from it. Is that people learn to build things rather than destroy each other.
Yeah, one of the big things that I have realized is not well understood among a lot of the I don't know if leftist is the right word for a lot of these people, but a lot of people who are wanting, I mean, a lot of them are lifestyleists. They want to be considered, you know, they want to be considered part of this
kind of like want to be considered part of the movement, but don't want to be moving anything, like almost like a brand.
Yeah, lifestyleism is it's an anarchist who isn't really into anarchism, but they want to be part of the team. You know, they want to be seen as they want the aesthetic of anarchism.
They want to wear
almost.
They want to almost wear it like a jersey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sit on the sidelines, like sit on the sidelines with a jersey on. Go team.
Yeah, and a lot of these, a lot of the especially younger or newer people who are identifying on the left are people who, like, the extent of their political involvement has been let's vote for Bernie, or you know, let's promote Bernie, and it's not particularly helpful to a revolution to just vote for a dude, or a chick, or an NB for that matter. None of that is super helpful. What we need is people building up counterpower structures, people who build up and organize means of meeting our needs as communities without depending upon the state and without depending upon capitalists to make it happen. And as long as we are depending upon the state and capitalism to meet those needs, people aren't going to feel comfortable stepping away from those things. And
especially,
like, that is the most important first step.
Especially right now.
Oh yeah, no, right now, like, so I live in Portland, and here in Portland and up north in Seattle, quarantines are a huge deal right now because, of course, they are a lot of places, but we're also extremely anarchist politically as cities, and that is where it is a ton of our efforts have gone, is towards organizing ways to distribute, to find people who need food, to find ways to get food, and to get that food in the hands of the people who, especially who are vulnerable right now and can't necessarily risk going to the store. and may not have the capacity to be able to get somebody to go on their behalf right now. And getting supplies and food and things like that to those people. And those kinds of structures, that is what we need to focus on building. We don't need to focus on laughing at, quote unquote, classical liberals on YouTube for being bad political campaigners. Things like feeding people matters. Things like getting people access to shelter and housing, safe spaces that they can exist in when they don't necessarily have that in their daily life right now. Those kinds of things. Getting them access to health care, getting them access to mental health care, and physiological health care otherwise. Getting access to counseling services like drug counseling, and like those kinds of things matter a lot. And right now, the majority of where it is that you find those things in the majority of the world is from the state or from capitalists. And that's where anarchist organizing comes in, is trying to help people who need help and can't afford it or are disenfranchised because the state doesn't recognize their rights.
Well, what I think is amazing, though, that even I mean, I get what you're saying. That is something, vital work that needs to be done right now. And I found it ironic that so many TERFs were going on that they were commenting about TERFs, about trans people, trans women especially, delivering food, because there's so many of us that are doing that kind of work right now. But in the UK, literally, you have people that are in the majority right now. Ian Duncan Smith he's the former Work and Pension Secretary for the Tories. He's talking about universal credit scheme that he put forward, but it's shifting like the Overton window when it comes to policies. Basically, there's a crisis right now. And there's going to have to be some kind of like universal basic income or something along those lines. And that's a huge shift to the left that's going to have to happen soon. Otherwise, I hate to say this, otherwise I see riots happening. Because I know people that just 3 days ago had a solid, comfortable life. Today, they don't have a job. These are people that had really good incomes. And they don't have jobs now. They don't have businesses, are literally within weeks of failing. Massive amounts of businesses, to the point where you just can't lift those businesses up because you need consumer. I mean, that's one of the faults here. It's going at least in this country, it's going to rip a hole wide open in capitalism, and it's an opportunity for a massive amount of change to happen, even from the right has shifted, because they know that capitalism cannot fix this, cannot even survive this if the guy that created the Laffer curve, suggested that we just let go of the wheel and let the market forces take the wheel. You might as well just kind of, stop driving and let Jesus take the wheel. I mean, it's along those same lines. It's a hope with no kind of proof of working. And I think pretty much everybody knows that. And that's why politicians, even that are from the right, are pointing towards a more leftist, socialistic answer, because they know that what is coming fast. And if they don't do something about it right now, there's going to be an economic and political cost that they don't want to pay.
I mean, yeah, like the right wing. This is ultimately very much the concept accelerationist promo, which is like when the powerful are impacted by how bad things are, then they will make that they will implement systems which benefit society as a whole in order to benefit themselves. I'm not an accelerationist. I don't think that that we should be depending upon the powerful being aware that they're going to hurt too before we start caring about things, before we start trying to make effective change. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing is they got to step in because white people are going to get hurt by this. Rich people are going to get hurt by this. Cishet people, boomers are going to get hurt by this. And that's what they care about, unfortunately.
Well, I just look over here in the UK where I live now. Back in 2010, in fact, I'll bring this up. I'll go over to hopefully, this. So in 2010, there were student protests, and it started with a demonstration from the National Union of Students and the UCU, which is the University and College Union. It was about fees, about college fees, right? And this literally ended up in fires. I mean, literally, there were riots, and this was just over. Like this was, I believe, it was just over fees. It was over how in 2009, Gordon Brown, who was the Labor Party, the head of and Prime Minister, had this Brown review, and it basically, the Conservative Party came in with Nick Clegg, who they had a coalition government, and they passed tuition fees going from $32.90 to a cap of £9,000 a year, and they rioted. This is literally not just college kids. Like you said, this is cishet, white, middle class. What they would say over here is middle class, which is different than it is in America. People that are going to be harmed. I hate to say it. I'm not, I don't think it takes much imagination to see this happening When people start to lose jobs, when people start to lose businesses, they're going to take to the streets. And they will show their anger and their frustration. I talked to my sister today. She told me that a lot of the same things are happening in Chicago. As far as people are losing their jobs, like over the next week. And, you know, I'm not too sure. Living it, you know, I haven't been in America in 3.5 years as far as living there. So I don't really know the tone, but I can't see that kind of decline into essentially what'll be a depression. I don't see how that doesn't force systematic change. Because I mean, the only other response would be severe state oppression. I think that's what, you know, in the States, I think that's what you're probably going to see. But I think in France and in the UK, I think it's going to be a lot more dangerous and fundamental to changing the way of life here. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see in the next few days. I will it's weird because I had a discussion with a friend who kind of called me out a bit. About my anxiety and social anxiety and when I think about what we need to do and where we need to go, I've been able to kind of just shut that stuff off and do what I needed to do. Whether it's, you know, in the past, it's been making speeches or going out door to door and campaigning and doing that kind of stuff, and stuff that I never would have imagined that I was able to do. But there's organizing that needs to be done on the street level. And, I mean, it's already happening, and there needs to be people. I agree, Jamie, 100%. Thank you for coming on tonight and talking about this, because that's exactly kind of when I talk about, I want this show to be so much that, you know, so many things that I'm interested in, but when it comes to anarchism, this is exactly what I want to talk about. How to do it in a way that moves us forward. That's not a grift. It's something positive that we can kind of analyze and move forward. Because I think in the end, what is any of this good for if it doesn't move us forward? You know, if it buys somebody a fucking car, I could give a shit less, to be fair. You know, or pay somebody's rent. You know, that's not what I'm doing this for. That's not what I'm taking part in. Whatever this is that I'm doing. I want to build something. So anyways, thank you for coming on and talking about that and having such a clear voice. And one that's positive and uplifting at the same time, being fucking real, not being too kumbaya, but just being real.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, I think a lot of what I promote as a personal value, not so much a political concept, but is radical optimism, because I think that making a choice to believe things are going to be good, that you are going to be able to get what you, was it Angela Davis who said this, that you have to go out and believe that you can make change, and you have to do that every single day. And I do think that if it's not necessary, makes it easier to keep working. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. And I think that's a brilliant way to end the show. So I'm not going to say anything more than that, but thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it so much. All right. So that was Jamie J, and it's coming up on midnight for me. So I am going to end the stream here in a bit. I'm going to stay around and chat for about, what time is it? For about 10 minutes. As far as I'm gonna just some random geek pointed out. Calls it LARPing anarchism, and that's right to the point. Thank you for having a wonderful chat, by the way, guys. You guys are amazing. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep up. I'm probably going to do a couple streams this weekend. I do have to work night shift tomorrow, so I won't be here. But I want to do this as much as possible. I love doing this. I think I've got this to a point where I'm still working on certain aspects of it, but I want to keep doing this. I think it's important. I think it's good to hear different voices and what Jamie J was talking about having radical optimism. I thirst for that. I have been cynical for so long. Jamie J said, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. That's a quote from Angela Davis, and oh, God damn. That's right to the point. It's so hard. It's so easy to be cynical and so hard to be positive, because there's so much going on that's shit, that is negative, that is kind of wanting to tear you down. So anyways, thank you, Jamie J, for coming on and kind of bringing those points up. Anytime that I can hear about the words of Angela Davis, MLK, I should have thrown some Bayard Rustin in there as well, but it's illuminating. So anyways, thanks guys. I am going to get myself out of here.
You're listening to The Tea Party, part of the Trans FM radio network. You're listening to the audio podcast version of The Tea Party. You can watch the video broadcast on Facebook, Periscope, Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find links in the show notes.
Okay. I've stopped recording there. Anyways, see y'all later. I am going to stop streaming now. Actually, I'm going to put my show ending screen up here. So I love it. That is it tonight. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for coming, and I will see you all soon. Take care. And don't forget to subscribe If you like this, you want to hang out, you want to come here and talk about these things, don't forget to subscribe so you get notificated. Yes, notificated when we go live. Speaking of butchering, I butchered the English language. Anyways, have a good night, everybody.